Hello everyone, John12 back here again with another review. Now today, obviously, is Tuesday, which means another From Dusk Till Dawn, this series episode review. Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 4, Let's Get Ramblin'. Now, seeing as how I kind of went off the kind of wagon, so to speak, I was kind of really pissed off my previous review. I want to make this a little more fun, so let's just get straight up into review, none of that nonsense, and let's just get right into it. First off, this episode's a really big improvement from the previous episode, Mistress, because when I gave my review, I think over exaggerated a little bit, because even though it was a good episode, I think it was inferior compared to the previous two, because it didn't really have the big action that the other two had, and it didn't really have like really outstanding acting in it. The actors do a great job in every episode. They've done a great job so far, but the last episode didn't really have it. You know, episode 1 has Don Johnson, episode 2 has Robert Patrick, but this episode 3 didn't have that. And then episode 4 definitely improves upon that, seeing as how this is obviously the more intense of the episodes. This is where we kick it up a notch, you know. The Fuller family are abducted by the Gecko brothers, and they're on the run from Gonzalez, and they're obviously heading towards Mexico, where they're eventually gonna, well, we already know what happens, but, you know. If I had to, well, let me just, you know what, let me just give out personal things that I didn't really enjoy about the specific episode first, and then I'll get to the pros. But the cons are, I didn't really like the beginning. The beginning starts off with a church scene where the Fuller family are being, I guess, honored or whatever during mass, and I don't know. It just felt boring to me and unnecessary. I guess it's because I guess it fits in a sense, you know, seeing as how the Fuller family are having problems. Kate doesn't really trust her dad because she found out in the previous episode that Kate's dad apparently is the reason as to why um her mother is dead. So I guess it's a really big twist with the character of Jacob, seeing as how in the movie he's a lot more upbeat, and obviously he has demons, but he's more spiritual. In this series he's obviously not a lot more depressing, and is definitely hanging from a fucking rope when it comes to dealing with the world around him. But post that, pretty much everything else is pretty decent. I also didn't really. I find intriguing the conversations and dialogue that characters have. Richie and Seth are having a discussion over his problems, and he mentions that something happened to him, which is as to why he can see the things he sees, which is kind of interesting that he said that, because like what does that mean? Like does that mean like he, like when he was living in the woods like the fucking Unabomber, was he just like, did he come in contact with this religion? Did he have like some kind of messed up childhood that caused him to see these things? I don't know. Like something must have happened to him in between the time that Seth was in prison and him being in a shed. There's something must have happened. So I definitely find it interesting. Another interesting part was the supernatural aspect of this episode. We get a little more supernatural into this, where like Gonzalez is having a flashback of this other case he had prior to Don Johnson's death, and you know they have a shootout in there, and these two dudes die, and like he starts to see that person that was killed, like coming back and taunting him. So, which was really strange. I didn't really understand that. I guess maybe that's like referenced in the other movies. I don't really know. I only saw them once, and that was a long fucking time ago, so I can't really recall. But overall, those were the only things that I didn't really like, but intrigued me, I guess. The things that were really awesome, once again, Johnson's fucking performance. Don Johnson's fucking awesome in this show. Like I think it was good to like have more scenes with him, because he did such an awesome job, and he's just great. I also like the dynamic in the Fuller family. Obviously, we get more in depth as to why they don't trust each other, so I think it's really good, the acting wise. But overall, this episode did just as good as any other episode. I also liked the shootout. The shootout was fucking awesome. Between the Gecko brothers and Gonzalez, that was fucking badass fucking shootout. That was like, it kind of felt like El Mariachi, where like, you know, the characters were like running up and down this hotel motel and they're just shooting at each other and shit. It kind of felt that way. It was pretty badass. But overall, this episode was pretty badass. I think it was a big improvement from episode 3. Once again, I kind of over exaggerated a bit, but I think it was a lot better. But seeing as how next episode we're gonna get some serious shit, you know, we're gonna be crossing the Mexican border, so there's gonna be some intense shit. I just can't wait to the part where we're in Mexico and we get to see a whole bunch of sexy ass chicks that turn into vampires and demons. I can't wait for that. But I personally really enjoyed this episode. I think it was way better than episode 3. And the acting was great. The effects were also really badass. I like the blood effects. That was pretty cool. I also enjoyed the acting between the Fuller family. I think their dynamic was cool. But overall, this episode was just badass. So I had to give it a rating. I give it a 9.0 out of 10. It's definitely better than the previous episode. You know, so not to bash it, but it was pretty badass. And also, I think it's really cool that that From Dusk Till Dawn has been renewed for a second season. If you haven't noticed, if you go online and check out any news from it, they've been renewed. So, although I don't really know if there was any fuckery there, seeing as how Rodriguez does own the network, so he could do it if he wants to. But I think it was pretty cool that this series has a second season on the way, because it's pretty badass, and I do encourage lots of people to check out this channel. Go to the El Rey Network, check it out. You know, I'm not trying to sound biased. This series is awesome. It does have flaws, but it's still fucking awesome, and it does deserve a place in your top 5 shows or top 10 shows that you're watching currently. And I've definitely heard feedback on people. People do enjoy it. People are fucking psyched about this show. So it's definitely worth the watch. But overall, my review is this episode was outstanding. It was great. I can't wait for next episode, which I hope is way more badass. You know, but overall, if I had to give this, like, if I had to sum it up to one word, I have to say intense. Definitely intense. It was one of the more intense episodes since the pilot. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and check me out next Tuesday.